rolling dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice.
Well, hello, beautiful and wonderful Patreon listeners.
Hello, Patreons. Brave and worthy, kind, generous, noble,
Trustworthy,
all
loyal,
all
helpful.
of these things. Welcome to another special, exclusive episode just for you.
In Under the Wire, it's still January. Here's your January episode. Rob and I are talking about finishing touches of putting something together, either for your players or for publication, play testing, design, layout, editing. This could be for a thing you want to write and publish. It could be for that really cool player's guide that you're giving everyone at the beginning of a campaign. What if you wanted to make it look nice?
I've been thinking about this a lot because Matt and I have been, for a secret project, reading a bit about the early days of D&D and tabletop. And I it's interesting because, for the first 10 years and for a lot of games, afterwards, the actual product, the actual books were literally in some cases stapled together, a very rudimentary art, not a lot of effort or time or money put into printing, certainly not into layout. And this changes. I don't know, Matt. I mean, this is a lukewarm take, but the 80s and 90s, but I would say that it hasn't been until the last 10 or 20 years that layout and design have been a foremost principle for tabletop role-playing games. We talked about, what do we talk about? Oh, Tome of Battle, and how just I mean, it's all in there. It's all the margins are correct technically, but it's just it's all kind of just slapped together. I think that there's a number of reasons for this. One is that people who are not just strategy game hyper nerds are involved with making games, and two, the tools have got better, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, if you've had questions about what are my tools, what are the programs I could use, we're going to talk about some of those because we've tried them out. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Rob. You look at games like Brindlewood Bay or Morkborg or something that are either doing something really nice with design or something really clever and weird with design, and it adds a lot to whatever product you're making.
There's more than one approach to this, right? And if you're not a designer, you don't have a designer on your team.
There's more than one way to design a cat. As they're always
That's not
saying.
your skill set. That doesn't mean that you can't write games or make games, but especially if you have resources or if you have the skills, I think that it, again, just like the same way that a novel benefits from this, or a magazine, or anything that's printed or read, there's a lot of design principles that you can apply to make it more appealing. But also, this is not just sort of an aesthetic thing. This is about how your audience interacts with your information, with your product. How easy is it to read? How easy is it to find what they're looking for? Are you visually drawn to or as a person's eyes visually drawn to the right parts of the information, the page? Are they able to sort of skim through and find what they're looking for? And there's sort of an infinite ceiling of how much effort you can put into this, but even just a little bit of polish. I don't know. I've been noticing a lot, Matt, the games that put effort into this, or the published materials that do me a favor when I'm trying to read them, I appreciate it a great deal more, because I have read so many just blocks of text in my life as a gamer, as a GM, that I really appreciate it if somebody goes through the effort to make it a little easier for me.
Yeah, it's so funny. We've read so many role-playing games, and I think it's it's still kind of a minority where the design not only looks good, but complements the feelings and ideas that are in there, but also makes it easier to understand and read. Not too long ago, we talked about Star Trek Adventures, which the design looks lovely and it looks so incredibly Star Trek. It in no way makes it easy to read or complements anything. And you're oh, well, all the aesthetics are there, but not the functionality.
Right.
So it's the idea of putting these two things together, aesthetics and functionality.
Yeah, there's multiple levels of it. Like there's the basic level, like, did you do more than turn your Word document or Google Doc into a PDF? And then there's step 2, did you make this arrange things so it's a little bit easier to read, a little bit easier to work for. And then the really advanced stuff is something like Mork Borg, where the actual design helps you understand the theme and feel of the game and what it's about. And that's very sophisticated. But I also feel like that kind of to me is in the same category as like, do your game mechanics help you understand what type of game you're playing? And like, I think the sort of like, for me, the ultimate version of a TTRPG is where everything sort of like works together to tell you what type of game you're playing and help you play that game. And design is a part of that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the very where to start here. And I think the most basic level, like the thing that we can all do that I think I've only just finally gotten the hang of is like, having appropriate like section headers, having the like titles of things be the correct information, adding a table of contents. For
Yeah.
most of us as GMs, like the only thing we're ever going to be designing for other people is like a thing we hand to players of like, here's your player options. Here's the guide to city X, Y, and Z. Here's the campaign document, right? And just doing the bare minimum in that is like super helpful. And so for me, it was like, okay, are my section headers clear? Do they actually look like section headers? Is there like a quick guide at the beginning to what's here if this is longer than 2 pages?